The classic arcade shooter Space Invaders is by far one of the most classic arcade games you can think of. Released in 1978, Space Invaders would soon become one of the world's most popular arcade video games that was on the market at the time. So, all you needed was a single coin to stick in that machine to play this new, exciting game. This game was so popular at one time, in fact, that there was even allegedly a time where there was a national currency shortage just because of the fact that everybody wanted to play Space Invaders. Or so that's what they claim anyway. Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and it's hard to argue that Space Invaders is one of the world's most influential video games that has ever hit the market. Nope, that's not me just saying it, it's official. This game was so influential, in fact, that there has been many urban rumours about the fact that there was once a time where this game caused a national currency shortage. Yes, this idea first sprung up to capitalise on the success of the arcade machine, claiming that people in Japan had spent so many coins on the game that this caused a shortage of coins in the country. This is a bold claim to make, and I will today be exploring this idea further to see if there is any truth to the story. Now, there's a few caveats with this. One, I'm not Japanese, and two, I wasn't alive when this happened, so this is purely based on things I can find online to try and find out if there's any truth to this claim. So, where does this come from? Well, in Japan at the time, allegedly, to play an arcade machine of Space Invaders, you needed to put in a coin of 100 yen, and the fact that in 1978 the exchange rate between the US dollar and the yen was about $1 to every 200 yen, it worked out about right. Something particularly interesting when looking into this topic was to actually go back and look at the history of Space Invaders, because for us to find out whether there's any truth to this claim, we need to first find out how popular the game was when it first came out. It's surprising to note that the game was never slated as one huge smash hit when it was first going to be released. As a matter of fact, when the game was first developed, the creator of Space Invaders, Tomohiro Nishikado, was originally told that the game was not going to be a huge success on the basis that his bosses thought the game was slow and sluggish to play, meaning that it would probably have quite low sales compared to their upcoming smash hit that year, a shooting game called Blue Shark. Yes, that totally memorable and amazing game we all know and love called Blue Shark. Yeah, it doesn't really have the same ring as Space Invaders. What was particularly strange about all of this was the game Space Invaders, you with a little ship shooting an alien in space, was based and inspired by the recently released Pong Breakout game, which had garnered massive success. So it does make you wonder, if that game was popular and Space Invaders was based on it, why can't Space Invaders get the same success? Most arcade owners also passed upon the idea of having Space Invaders as a cabinet in their arcades, given that nobody could really see the fun in shooting rows of aliens in space. All but a few bowling alleys and arcades across the country decided to take the dive and try and get one of these new Space Invaders cabinets. And surprisingly, although it wasn't an immediate smash success, people that did, for whatever reason, decide to go over and play the game realised pretty quickly that Space Invaders was something pretty special. And the more and more people that come and visit, play the game and tell their friends, this will just spread like wildfire. And that is exactly what happened. Just to give you an idea how popular this game became, many arcades across the country even elected to get rid and sell their old arcade machines just to make room for more arcade machines of Space Invaders. It was clear that Space Invaders was here to stay, and this was the in-game right now. However, there must have been some indications of a currency shortage at this time for this rumour to even be possible today. Well, past references to there being some sort of currency shortage were even bounded around as early as 1982, when Vestron Video Games released a series on VHS called How to Beat Home Video Games. Kinda like today when you go into a game shop and the shopkeeper tries to sell you some stupid, ridiculous game guide that nobody wants to read, but they have them there ready to sell for every new release. that was pretty much what these VHSs were for. These VHS guides would guide kids to play through their favourite video games on their Atari 2600, including Space Invaders. Some old clips on YouTube of the VHS even state that there was a yen shortage in Japan because of Space Invaders. Now, in this video they don't actually give a source or expand on this point at all, they just throw it out there, but it clearly shows that this rumour was certainly alive and well even just a few years after Space Invaders was released. And to be honest with you, a lot of this is probably down to hype. People who were just discovering the game and realising how fun it was wanted to have a story around it in order to try and highlight to people why this game is so good and why it's so popular. If something like this was to happen, for anyone that's never played Space Invaders before, they must think this is something pretty special. However, at this time there was never any empirical evidence to show that there was a yen shortage at the relevant time. So let's dig into that further too. Nishikado, the creator of the game himself, believes that the idea of the game causing a national currency shortage of the 100 yen coin is unfounded and is very skeptical that this even happened. You'd think that a Japanese citizen at the time this happened, who created the very game we're talking about, who is also an expert in the field, would probably have a good indication as to whether something like this had happened because it would have a direct impact on, well, the video game industry. However, he seems to think that this never happened, or if it did, it was nothing ever noticeable. If you want to get it straight from the horse's mouth, this is pretty much as close as you're going to get. So the theory's not looking good right now. Looking further into this, people appear to correlate an increase in the production of 100 yen coins and the increased popularity of Space Invaders in Japan. Asia Week, a magazine released in 1981, claimed that roughly 8 million people played Space Invaders daily, spending 2.6 billion yen, which is about 114 million US dollars, a day, and forcing the Bank of Japan to make 3 special mintings of the 100 yen coin. So, where does this all come from? Apparently this claim arose in an issue of New Scientist, published in 1980, which claimed that the Japanese mint had to triple its production of the coins to avoid an economic crisis. When reviewing the minting figures from 1979 to 84, the year 1979 was marked by a 76.4% increase in the production of 100 yen coins, followed by a 64.9% rise in 1980. The increased quantities are noteworthy, but nowhere near the often repeated figures of 2 to 400%. So yes, you look at the data at the relevant time and you think, yes, this coin was minted more often than it was before, which makes you wonder whether there is some weight to this theory. I'm not doubting the fact that there wasn't more coins made, but was it just because of Space Invaders? Well, something else was happening at the same time, in which the 100 yen coins were actually made of 60% silver, and at the very same time, the value of silver was rapidly increasing, upwards of 60% at the time. As any smart, savvy business person would do, they would probably hold on to the coins they have, which may increase in value due to the silver content in them. So the remintings of the coins were not exactly the same as previous 100 yen coins. These ones were minted on the basis that they would be made from copper and nickel, materials which weren't increasing in value. By that degree anyway. So when looking at this upcoming potential economic disaster, that's probably a little bit more, important than Space Invaders, which I think the reason they did this was probably circumstantial that Space Invaders came out at the exact same time. As a matter of fact, come to think of it, this whole theory actually doesn't really make sense because everybody's coming in and putting their 100 yen coins into the machine and playing Space Invaders. Then, simply what happens at the end of the day is you come and you collect your winnings, or everybody's hard-earned money into your arcade machine. You take that money away and you put it into the bank, which then gets recirculated back into society in some way or another. So unless every single arcade wasn't cashing their money in, I don't really understand how this whole theory came about in the first place. This isn't the first time a story like this has occurred, however, as Atari originally promoted the game Pong, saying that the first cabinet installed at Andy Capp's Tavern in Sunnyvale, California was so popular that the coin mechanism seized up and made the game inoperable. There are differing accounts as to how real this story actually is, but real or not, this obviously worked to drum up business and got people very interested in the game Pong. So, if it worked for one company, then why not try it with a second one? Where does that leave us? Well, we've got many differing accounts, many of which claim that there never was a currency shortage. We have empirical data saying that, yes, there was an increased amount of coins that were minted during those years around the release of Space Invaders, but there were a myriad of other factors which are probably more likely the reason as to why this happened, rather than Space Invaders. If you want to know my honest opinion, is that I think that, again, this probably didn't happen. However, the whole sensationalism over the game being so popular at the time gave people a reason to want to believe it, particularly because video games was still in its infancy at the time, in the early 80s, that people were still just discovering what video games were, and for people to give it some legitimacy, a story like this is only good news. I would absolutely love to see a AAA developer try and get away with something like this today, because I'm pretty sure they would be absolutely crucified. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. When making this video, there's been one thing and one thing only on my mind, and that is the very ominous sound those aliens make when they move across the screen in a typical game of Space Invaders. And when I go to bed at night, all I can hear in my head is those aliens. It's starting to become a real problem. So yeah, maybe next video I'll do something a little bit less Space Invadery. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.